Assalamu alaikum students. Hope all of you are fine today. Today again I come forward with a new class. Students, if you have any queries or doubts after listening the discussion of this chapter, you call me every night between 8 to 10. I shall try my best to clarify your doubts. And one more thing that I need to mention is that today under this chapter we have got two parts. That means I have divided the chapter into two different classes. The first part of the chapter I shall discuss today, and the second part I shall discuss in my next class. So, there I proceed. Metals and non-metals. You all know that these metals are those materials that are hard things, that are considered as conductors of heat and electricity. Metals are generally hard substances which undergoes melting when they are heated, and which also leads to act as a conductor sometimes when current is allowed to pass. But in this class we are going to learn some other properties of a metal. On the basis of the general properties of metals, or if you talk about the elements, these elements are often divided into two classes. They are the metals and the non-metals. So we know that elements are those substances that are formed of the same kind of atoms. You have learned it in your earlier classes, previous classes. So these metals are not
Assalamu alaikum students.
formed of the same elements.
Today.
We find different metals of different elements.
With a new
So
chapter.
based on the physical properties of different elements, these elements are classified into two different
Assalamu
classes.
alaikum
They
students.
are the metals
Hope you all-
and the non-metals. Now, more than 110 elements
Assalamu alaikum
we have known
students. Hope
till
you
today.
all
And out of all these 110 elements which are known today, 24 are non-metals and the rest are all metals. That means out of 110, 24 which are considered as non-metals. So if we subtract 24, what we get? We get 10 minus 6 minus 4, 6 here. Here we have got 10. 10 minus 2, it is 86. So the rest 86 are considered as metals and 24 we consider it as non-metals. So now let us learn about some of the physical properties of metals. Metals are generally hard solid substances. For example, aluminium, iron, zinc, tin, copper. They are strong enough to bear heavy loads. This is why they are often used for making those things which can bear heavy loads. For example, vehicles and all that you can see which are able to bear heavy loads. For example, the big trucks and all which are made out of metals. So only because of its property that it is able to bear heavy loads. These are hard, strong solids which has got a high tensile strength. Okay, this is one of the most suitable property of a metal. Secondly, these metals have a luster. They shine when they are polished. For example, aluminium, iron, zinc, copper, silver and gold. These are all metals which are able to give shine. So they are known as lustrous metals. Such metals, when they are polished, they used to shine in such a way that the shine lets our eyes to get blink many a times. Metals are again sonorous. That means they are able to produce sound when they are hit by any hard objects. That means the sound that is produced by the metals is called a metallic clink. So metals have the property that they are sonorous. Metals are malleable. What do you mean by malleable? We know that iron copper, silver, all such metals can be beaten or rolled into tin sheets. So the property of a metal to be bent, to be beaten in such a way that they can be rolled into tin sheets, it is known as malleable. Or we can say that metals are having a property malleability, as they can be beaten into tin sheets or foils. Sometimes such foils are used for decorating sweets, as well as it is also used for making aluminum packets
Assalamualaikum
for food and all.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Our next
My
property
dear
regarding the
students,
metals is that metals are
welcome to
ductile.
my
That means,
chemistry class.
as we know, metals are flexible. Metals are flexible. They can be drawn into wires. For example, the copper wires or the aluminum wires which we use for electrical purposes. Okay, it is only because of the property of ductility that the metals have. Metals are ductile. That means they can be drawn into wires. Secondly, metals are good conductors of electricity and heat. If you allow heat to one end of a metal, after some time when you touch the other end of the metal, you are able to feel the heat on the other end. So it indicates that metals can conduct heat, and it is known to us that all the metals can conduct electricity well. But amongst all the metals, we consider this silver as the best conductor of electricity. Metals are again used for preparing various materials that we have in our kitchens. For example, the fry pan or the cooking utensils that we use in our homes, which are made of aluminum and all. Okay, it is only because it is a conductor of heat. So these are some of the properties related to the metals. Now let us discuss about the non-metals. We have learned that out of 110, 24 are considered as non-metals and the rest are considered as metals. So in contrast to the metals, non-metals are not known for strength. We have learned that metals are high strong solids. They have high tensile strength. That means they are able to bear heavy loads. But non-metals are quite different as compared to the metals. They are not able to bear that much strength or heavy loads. They are usually lusterless. That means they are dull. Except graphite and iodine. Graphite and iodine, these are non-metals. Except these two non-metallic elements, all the non-metals are lusterless or dull looking. That means they don't shine at all. They are brittle. At the time when we try to bend any non-metallic objects, what happens? They used to break as they are brittle. Bad conductors of heat, bad conductors of electricity, except graphite. If we talk about graphite, graphite is a non-metallic material which is used in batteries and all. Even it is used in the pencil that you use. Okay, it is a non-metal, but it can conduct electricity to some extent. It is also considered as a bad conductor of heat. Non-metals are always considered as bad conductors of heat. They cannot conduct heat at all, but except graphite, non-metals can conduct electricity. They are non-sonorous. That means they do not produce any sound when hit by any objects. Out of all 24 non-metals known today, what happens is that what we find is that 12 are considered as solid non-metals, 1 is considered as liquid non-metal, and 11 are considered as gases. 11 are considered as gases. So we get all total 24 non-metals. You can see 12 are considered as solid non-metals, 1 liquid non-metal, and the name of the liquid non-metal, only liquid non-metal, is bromine. And the liquid metal which you all know, that is mercury, its symbol is Hg, and the 11 are gases. And if we talk about the 12 solid non-metallic examples are silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, iodine, and etc. If we talk about the only liquid non-metal is bromine. Then 11 non-metallic gases are oxygen, nitrogen, fluorine, chlorine, helium, neon, argon, and so on. Okay, all these non-metallic gases, they always remain in gaseous state at ordinary conditions. Now students, we are going to discuss some of the chemical behaviors of the metals. All the metals, as they are very much different from one another, they have got different chemical properties or behaviors. They react with elements having different properties. All the metals do not have the same chemical properties. That means they have different chemical behaviors. Let us learn one by one. Similar kinds of reactions that vigor, metals undergo similar kinds of reactions sometimes, but they have got different vigor. The reaction is not the same. With different vigors, they undergo the reaction. Some are more active than the others. Metals along with hydrogen are arranged in order of their activity series called the activity series. If you refer the activity series of some common metals given in figure 6.1, you can see the metals which are arranged in activity series along with hydrogen. So all the metals along with hydrogen which are arranged in activity series, they are arranged in order of their activity series. That means in order of their reaction. Different metals have different vigors at the time of having reaction. Some are more active and some are less active. Okay, so this series helps us understand the reaction of the metals. You can see hydrogen. After hydrogen, you can see iron, zinc, aluminium, magnesium, sodium, calcium, and potassium. So the first one that you can see is potassium. So it indicates that potassium has got high activity series as compared to the calcium. Then calcium again, it has got high activity series than sodium. Likewise, these elements are arranged according to their reaction on the activity series. Action of air on metals. Metals, if they are kept exposed to air and moisture for a long period of time, what happens is that we are able to find a reddish brown substance getting deposited on the surface of the metal. So this reddish brown substance which gets deposited on the surface of the metal is known as rust, which you have learnt in your previous classes. And the process of the formation of rust on the surface of the metal is known as rusting. It's known as rusting. So this rusting occurs on the metals due to the action of air on metals. The oxygen present in air acts on the metal to form their oxides. Metals like potassium and sodium placed high up in the series are so active that they react very fast with the air. Okay, as these metals like potassium and sodium, as they have got high active, as they are very much active, they react with the air very fast. They form their oxides too fast, having reaction with the atmosphere. So potassium and sodium, as they have got high activity series, as they have placed in the activity series high up, as they are very much active, they are always stored under kerosene to prevent such metals from forming their oxides. Magnesium, aluminium, and iron react more slowly with the air. So these metals, as they react very slowly with the air, they are not stored under kerosene. When left exposed, they get tarnished because a thin film of oxides forms over the surface, which we call as rust, and the process is known as rusting. For example, a piece of magnesium, when ignited, burns in air with a dazzling white light. If you burn a piece of magnesium metal, what happens is that a dazzling white light is formed, and magnesium, when burnt in open gas jar, white solid particles of magnesium oxide is formed. That means the oxides of magnesium are formed, leading to reaction of oxygen with the magnesium. Okay, but when it is left exposed to air and moisture, what happens? Slowly and slowly it reacts with the air and moisture and it forms its oxides. Metals further down the series that you can see in the activity series, they react with the air slowly in moisture and rust is hydrated oxide of iron. That means it also leads to the formation of oxides on the metals. For example, in iron we find iron oxide, FeO3 oxide, like this. We find in case of different metals. When the chemical action of the air is prolonged beyond tarnishing, the compounds form slowly eat away the metals. So because of the reaction of the air and moisture on the metal, slowly and slowly the compound that forms on the metal, it eats away the metal, leading to corrosion. Leading to corrosion. You can take an example of an iron nail, and that iron nail, if you place it outside your house for some days, what you will find, you will observe a reddish brown substance, and slowly when you go for observing it, keeping the same nail outside for long period of time, you will find that slowly some parts of the metal iron nail getting decomposed, leading to corrosion. Copper forms a green solid on its surface. At the time when the corrosion of copper metal takes place, a green surface is formed. Okay. At the time when metals like magnesium, aluminium, zinc and are formed, what we find is that a reddish brown substance is formed. Displacement of hydrogen from water. Now let us learn how hydrogen gets displaced from water. Students, as you all know that water is a compound, is a chemical compound, what we can say. It is formed of hydrogen and oxygen. When two atoms of hydrogen combines with one atom of oxygen, water is formed. So here we are going to learn how the displacement of hydrogen takes place from water. So to undergo the displacement of hydrogen from water, what we need to do is that sodium, you can say, is an element. When it is allowed to react with water, what happens is that two atoms of sodium, when it's allowed to react with two molecules of water, what happens is that two NaOH and two NaOH, that is two atoms of two molecules of sodium hydroxide is formed along with hydrogen, along with two atoms of hydrogen. So in this way, the displacement of hydrogen takes place in case of water. Next topic regarding the displacement of hydrogen from acids. You have learned about different acids, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid and all. So how the displacement of hydrogen takes place in case of the acids even. Let's take an example. Magnesium, which is a metal, okay, is allowed to react with sulfuric acid, then magnesium sulfate, MgSO4 plus H2. Sorry, magnesium, when it is allowed to react with sulfuric acid, that is H2SO4, what happens is that magnesium sulfate along with hydrogen is formed. So in this way, the displacement of hydrogen takes place when it's allowed to react with when any metals are allowed to react with acids. Reaction with the bases. Sometimes some of the reactions takes place with the bases to form new substances. You can see in your book, for example, aluminium and zinc, when it's dissolved in alkalis like sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide, what happens is that aluminium, when it's allowed to dissolve with potassium hydroxide, which is an alkali, potassium aluminate along with the separation of hydrogen is formed. Likewise, zinc, when it's allowed to dissolve in an alkali, sodium hydroxide, sodium zincate along with the displacement of hydrogen is formed. So these are some of the displacements taking place in case when hydrogen is found in different compounds. In case of the acids, in case of compounds like water, and sometimes in case of the bases as sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide. With this, my class gets over. Thank you.